Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Radamic. Berto is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard. Paul Fleming is in the house from Atlanta, Georgia. Melanie Keelan is in the house from Barcelona, Spain. Bridge MCP is in the house from upstate New York. And we have, of course, I'm scrolling up, Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. This is the last show, the last live show of the year. So we are going to revisit later on, I hope, one of the most important shows that I think I did, and it's a short segment that I did at Netroots having to do with Medicare and Medicare Advantage with Alex Lawson. The reason I want to play that one is I kind of went over some of my shows to get some extractions out of these shows to send out my newsletter requesting that people sign up. And I re-listened to that entire show, and I'm like, this is important for people to get in real time. So we're going to go over that. Of course, we're going to do an economic piece that I saw on MSNBC today that we're going to go over as well. Now, I'm a bit late to it as usual, trying to get, I'm starting to get real up to the wire before I'm done getting everything right. You go ahead and you get started, and it's like I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And that's what we did today again. So as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm going through the database looking for that particular one that we're talking about, and I hope I can find it. I hope I can find it, but so far, no cigar. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and find it. AVQ says, Happy New Year. I won't be around until the 2nd. See you next year. Well, look, you make sure and bring in a good and safe year, my brother. I'm pretty sure that you will. Anyhow, let's go ahead and start reading what you got to say. Bree says Trump has lost again on immunity, with the chief judge of the D.C. Court of Appeals finding that Trump has no presidential immunity from other civil claims brought against him from January 6 injuries suffered. Paul Fleming says, white people keep trying to put an asterisk next to slavery, like it's Barry Bonds' home run record. You can't put an asterisk next to it, my dear brother. It's existed in the entire United States, worse than in anywhere else, of course, but also in Brazil, in Panama, in all these other places has some form of chattel slavery. So yeah, you can't put that back into the bottle. It's how all these countries gain their wealth, free labor on others again. And that's why I find it amusing when some people speak about, let's say some of the loafers that we have, etc. It is like, well, I believe in work. I work my butt off, but it's kind of ironic that some people actually look at others and say, "Oh, you're loafing." Look, the country was built on free labor, and I mean and by a few though. Let's make it be clear: a few in aggregate made use of all those bodies to enrich themselves. And the funny thing is that they have a lot of the poor others supporting them for something they were never a part of or able to monopolize on, other than what we now call the privilege that some have attained. A privilege that is really, well, I get into trouble with my black brothers and sisters when I talk about certain kind of privileges not worth having if it's a false privilege, But we'll take up some of those subjects on the other hand, maybe in the coming year, where we try to blend all this stuff together. So anyhow, continue reading. Clarence Thomas not trusted to rule impartially on any case involving Trump's attempted coup. He must recuse himself. His wife, Jane Thomas, was directly involved in efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Yeah, she's a traitor. And I think we should start calling all these people what they are: traitors. They are traitors. All right. Paul Fleming says, if we've learned anything these past few years, it is that one, workers keep America going. True, not billionaires. Corporate profits don't trickle down to the workers. True. Poverty is a policy choice, true. And 4, healthcare is a human right, true. 5, strikes won't let's keep fighting for a better world. Strikes work. Thank you. I want to also say that you said corporate profits don't trickle down. Not only that, corporate profits continue to exacerbate inflation. Important that we understand those concepts. But thank you for that, Brother Fleming. All right, my sister Melanie Keelan says, happy last live show of the year. Wait, you put at Bridge. I think you mean that for us all, right, Melanie Keelan? I know you love us all, Melanie. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. Paul Fleming says California will welcome the new year by becoming the first state to offer health insurance for all undocumented immigrants. Starting January 1st, all undocumented immigrants, regardless of age, will qualify for Medi-Cal, California's version of federal Medicaid program for people with low incomes. It's the only humane thing to do, and countries all over the world do it. I have friends who went to France, who went to Germany, and as they were there getting their health care, they were just like other people there because they realized that healthcare is about humanity, right? That's what it's all about. One of these days, we will remember that humanity should actually defeat capitalism. Maybe one of these days we'll remember that. Brother May Wood has just joined us. How are you doing, May? Great to see you. Breed says, Utah is doing almost the same thing. What? Almost the same thing. Utah is giving everybody health care. You gotta send me that link, Breach. You gotta send me that link. Egberto traders? Yes, Breach, traders. So I guess I better put that up on the screen because you're asking for me to put that up on the screen. Let's see if I can get to the screen and get that going for you. Let's see if I can get it onto the screen. Come on, screen. Breach wants it. Let's go ahead and now effect it onto the screen. You know, when I'm doing this one from a different computer, which isn't very good. All right, there we go. Thank you for that, Breach. It says 147 elected GOP helped Trump. Trump did not act alone. And she has a list of the photographs of the elected officials who were part of the national coup against the United States of America. Thank you for pointing that out, Bridge MCP. E2247 has just joined us. Paul Fleming says that the average American pays $140 just to file their taxes each year, while giant tax prep companies rake in billions. But it doesn't have to be this way. Next year, the IRS is launching a pilot program to give many taxpayers an option to file for free and direct with the government. It's a racket. It's another racket to put the private sector into a place they don't belong. We should simply go ahead and say, if make a bid. I'm bidding for a company who is going to write the software of the company. If IRS doesn't want to have a staff, full-time staff, even though they should, that handles the automatic program, then what they should do, well, no, they should hire a staff. They should hire a staff. That is the right thing to do. Anyhow, thank you for that one, Paul Fleming. Thank you for that one. But it's one of the biggest ripoffs that we have as well. Okay, Peggy Lopez is in the house. Peggy from California says, hi all, thanks for the reminder of this being the last live show for the year. Will not be here Monday for the first live show of the year, so happy New Year all. I will probably have a recorded show for New Year's because, again, I think I'm going to use the New Year's to spend with my daughter and take her somewhere, given that my wife has a little something with some friends. So I think I'm going to do that. Paul Fleming says, our times demand moral clarity and courage that Nikki Haley can't bring herself to say the cause of civil war fought over 150 years ago was slavery. Shows she has neither. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. You know, Nikki Haley is Indian, right? And they have a caste system that, even as it's supposed to be out, not really in effect with dowries and all of that. They have the Brahmins and the different levels of caste, So it doesn't surprise me at all that is the way she thinks, given that I think she's either in the first tier or second tier caste in her society, if I recalled correctly. They believe in all that buffoonery, that ridiculousness, that crap. But I think that was disqualifying for her. I think you agree with me, Paul. That's disqualifying for her. All right. E2247 says, hi, Paul, Bridge, Melanie, Peggy, Egberto, etc. And what else have we got here? I think it's great. But look, thank you for bringing all this up. All right. Oh, Bridge says, I was about to start the video, but Bridge came with a long one. Let's go ahead. It says, more states extend health coverage to immigrants, even as issue inflames GOP. 11 states and Washington, D.C. together provide full health insurance coverage to more than 1 million low-income immigrants, regardless of their legal status, according to the state data compiled by the Kaiser Foundation. Most aren't authorized to live in U.S. states. Officials say enrollment in these programs could nearly double by 2025, as at least 7 states initiate or expand coverage in January. Republican-controlled Utah will start covering children regardless of immigration status, while New York and California will widen eligibility to cover more adults. These are kids, and we have a heart, said Utah State Rep Jim Dunnigan, a Republican who initially opposed the state's plan to cover children lacking legal status, but relented after compromising, including a cap on enrollment. What does a cap on enrollment do? That's ridiculous, but still, it's a good step in the right. In other words, all right, 102 kids need health care. The cap is 100. We let 2 of the kids die. No, it doesn't work that way. But I'm glad to see it happen, because Americans are privy to health insurance from even third world countries. They get the same insurance that the people in that country get when they need health care overseas. We can be as one of the most capitalist of the capitalist countries. Yep, it shows the evil of capitalism. In fact, it does. It does. All right. Paul Fleming says DC Court appeals schedule for oral arguments on 1/9/24. Trump's appeal of denial for his presidential immunity defense, 20 minutes afforded to each side, 10 minutes of rebuttal. He's going to lose that one. All right, Peggy Lopez, thank you for that super chat. Love you, girl. Thank you for that super chat. Anybody wants to join Peggy? We are accepting super chat. Last live show of the year. Let the super chats fly. Bridge was kind enough to give us one yesterday. That was great. Thank you so kindly, Bridge. And for those who don't want to give a super chat, even better, go ahead and subscribe to our newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. But thank you, guys. You're the ones who make this program possible. And you know why this program is necessary? I want to, last day I was giving you some of the little endorsements that I get from people as we go. And I want to, today, I guess I'll play another endorsement from another show that we did. So here we go with another endorsement, and then we'll come right back.
It's such a privilege to get to talk to you. Your story, and your work is so inspirational. I know the folks who, choose to tune in, to your words and to your guests are pretty smart people, who care about what's going to happen in this country. And we all have a role to play, at this point. Every single American has a role to play in what the future is going to look like. And you're right. Most Americans, even conservatives, actually are on the same page of what needs to happen. And almost all of those are progressive standpoints. It's such a privilege to get to talk to you.
And yes, that is so important. Most Americans are in agreement of what we want, what we need. And yes, most of that turns out to be our progressive values. So yes, folks, please continue to support the program however you can. All right, let's see. Para ver. We got here from E2247, former Israeli PM Natalie Bennett put an op-ed in Wall Street Journal to direct action against Iran and confirmed that Israel destroyed a drone base and killed an Iranian commander in 2022. They don't mind just admitting that they're killers, right? Oh, wow. Amazing. That government, I tell you, not my Jewish brothers and sisters, but in fact, the government of Israel under the leadership of war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. All right. Paul Fleming says gas prices will fall again in 2024, according to Gas Buddy projections, and Americans will spend $32 billion less. Daniel Edo says, LOL, says the guy whose party has super delegates. All right. Mary L. Hardy says, is anything being done about the fake electors who are still holding office? If so, how is that possible? Fake electors, I don't know that any of them are holding office. But fake electors are being prosecuted in Michigan. They're being prosecuted in Wisconsin. Some of them were convicted in or pled guilty in Georgia. So yes, and it's not about what is illegal is when they file papers as if they are the electors, because those papers become fraudulent, and that's why some of them have already pleaded guilty. Mike Cisak, keep yourself informed. I know you're informed by the right wing. Come here for truth information. Paul Fleming says, U.S. intelligence agencies found that Chinese surveillance balloon that transited the United States in early 2023 used an American internet service provider to send short, periodic transmissions of data related to navigation and location back to China. According to a U.S. official, this connection was one of the ways that the U.S. was able to track its location and gather information on the balloon as it transited the United States. But, it's funny because that story would come like, oh my God, China was using our internet services. How could they possibly do that? Let me just tell you people, my brothers and sisters, something. And that's why I hate when reporters come out and say certain things, right? I am able, if I am in any, if I am in any country, it doesn't matter. I repeat, it doesn't matter if I use any third party as a transport to send my data. Doesn't mean that the person that I can read it. There are these things called tunnels, or in the case of VPN, virtual private networks, right? I can use any unsafe network and send data in an encrypted form that is virtually unbreakable. All right. Now, people may say, yeah, but it's safer to send it directly to China through whatever, through the air. Well, just like I can break a cable, I can break a tunnel. Maybe I can break it in the air. So don't panic when you hear things like, oh, China came here. The right wing is going to go and say, oh, China came here and they used our internet services. We allowed them to use our internet service to send data back to China. Doesn't matter. We use Russian internet services to send secure data back here. Don't doubt that it's something that's done. They can probably buffer up and save that data and try all kinds of way to crack the data. But the way you send data can make it uncrackable. Let me give a good example of how that is done, right? Let's say I want to send a picture over to America. I would maybe send that picture along with voice data through a tunnel. There is nobody that's going to be able to reconstitute that picture that I'm interspacing with data without making any reference to how it's done. Okay, so don't let that concern you. All right. Peggy Lopez says, I think it's Wisconsin where some filed with election board to have Trump denied access to the ballot, and the election board has someone recused. Member of the board. Yes, I recall. All right, let's see. Bree says the fake electors refer to the ones who signed when the other electors already did. You don't sign for a person who loses, hence fake electors. Very good clarification. All right, let's continue. Let's see what else we have here. All right, folks, let me set this one up. It's an economic story. First of all, I want to give a errata. Well, it's more than a errata. The economy as it stands today is nowhere as good as it needs to be for the middle class, the lower middle class, and the poor. But under the current economic system, it couldn't be, because the economic system that we have, the unregulated, unfettered type of capitalism that we have right now, skews most capital, income, and everything else to a few. But under the current umbrella of how our economic system works, the Biden economy is great. He made it better than most people would have ever imagined. He made it, with the policies passed, better than Obama, better than Clinton, better than these all, as you skew things forward. Yes, I know people want to say, but the buying power of the Americans are less now than it was because of inflation. All of that is true. But when you look at the course of what an economic system does, as was explained many times by Richard Wolff on the many programs that we've had, it shows that even with the chains that capitalism has on our current economic system that prevents the middle class, the poor, from being more than a paycheck away from poverty, he has done well. He has shown that even in this economy, Keynesian economics work. Even in this economy, protecting the social safety net prevents it all from caving in. He has proven that. And economists, not the good economists like Richard Wolff and others, but economists like the one that we're going to have right now, Eakes, he just cannot accept that the economy or the current economic system has turned around and has successfully made what people like to call a soft landing. Want you to listen to this, and then we will take it on the other side. As soon as I get my mouse working as it should, we'll get it on the other side. So let's go ahead and do that now, and we'll move that forward. I think that is it. Yeah.
Today, the S&P 500 has a chance of reaching a new record high, less than 0.5% away from uncharted territory. It would cap off an impressive year for the stock market and highlight a durable American economy, one that the president is likely to campaign on as he makes a run for a second term. Inflation now back to almost normal, gas prices relatively stable and low. And the American consumer showed up this holiday season. Retail sales rose 3.1% compared to last year. Joining us now is Douglas Holtz-Eakin, former chief economist of the President's Council of Economic Advisors. Douglas, thanks for joining us on this. Appreciate it. So inflation, the ideal number you want to be at is 2%. We're not quite there yet, but almost. And certainly I don't think many people predicted we would be here in this moment. Markets rallying the way that they are, the economy doing as well as it is, avoiding a recession that was predicted.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of good news in 2023, and certainly the disinflation's been more rapid and less painful than anyone had anticipated. That's all great news. The stock market rally is really predicated on the notion that the Fed's going to be cutting soon. Mortgage rates have made the same move. My only caution is that the Fed's preferred measure of inflation peaked at 5.6%, and now it's down to 3.2% year over year. So that's 2/3 of the way to the target of 2%, and it took nearly 2 years to do that. So we're not going to see inflation back to normal overnight. We're not going to see the Fed cutting rates overnight. We have a little bit of a haul left before we get down to the target, and I have some caution about the outlook based on that.
Do you think it's unlikely? I know Fed Chair Jerome Powell has said we might see 2 to 3 cuts over the next year or so for interest rates, obviously reaching an all-time high to kind of quiet down, slow down inflation. Do you think it's unlikely we're going to see that many cuts over the next year?
We may see rate cuts, but the question is, why do we see rate cuts? My concern about the outlook really focuses on the business sector. The household sector has carried the economy in the second half of 2023. Business investment has been dead flat. In the post-war period, every recession has been led by a downturn in business investment. The only exception is the pandemic recession. So to have a really weak business sector is a concern. And if the Fed is cutting because the economy is starting to fall off a cliff, that's different than if the Fed is cutting because inflation is back to 2% and we're growing strongly. So the real issue is, will we get balanced growth, households plus businesses? Are we going to have this unbalanced growth we've seen in the second half of this year?
So when you talk about balance, I also wonder about the feels and the reals. And what I mean by that is what we're seeing in the economy, right? The numbers where the economy is pretty healthy and doing pretty well, right? And then the feels of the American people, many of which don't feel as if the economy is doing as well. They still see kind of grocery prices not necessarily being where they want to be. Do you think that's going to line up this year now more than ever?
Well, there were 2 years, 2021, 2022, when, inflation badly outstripped wage growth and people were at work and getting further behind. Now, that changed in the second half of 2023. And the issue is, will that make up for those 2 years, which I think really hurt consumer confidence? Will we turn a corner on that front? That's what we're facing going forward. And think about the Christmas season. People are very happy. Sales are up 3% from last year, but we have 3% inflation. So people aren't buying more stuff. They're just spending more to keep up with the inflation.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing.
Well, wait a minute. Listen to what he just said. People are not buying much more. If the inflation is 3% and we got a rise in purchasing of 3%, he's kind of right that we're simply buying more. But he forgot one thing. All the discounts and all of that came, and even above and beyond that, we still got that 3% growth. But let's forget about that. When he talks about inflation, he makes it look as if, well, it's a government problem why we had inflation. No, the inflation problem was those thugs that call themselves corporate executives who raised prices even as their prices hadn't gone up. So let's be very clear, folks. Vamos a estar bien claros ahora. Es imperativo que de lo que estamos hablando es exactamente lo que está pasando. We must make sure and make everything that we are speaking about actually accurate. Okay? Very, very important. It is sad that these economists who have been all wrong, that they don't understand what occurred in the Biden economy. And I want to explain something to all of you clearly. All right? Biden got an opportunity to do something seldom afforded any president of the United States. Because we were in a pandemic, because we were scared and we didn't know if the economy was going to crash on its own, what we had to do is make some very important decisions. We had to decide and make some very important decisions as far as spending money or not. And what Biden did is he said, and I don't know if he did this implicitly, explicitly, or what, but what he did proved the case. Keynesian economics is important. We do have a slack in the economy that can print money, throw money out without causing inflation. And while people say, but Egberto, we got inflation. But what we also proved is that was manufactured inflation. The fault of that inflation was completely and entirely corporate-driven, greed-driven. The just-in-time inventory caused some supply chain problems. And whose fault was that? The corporate sector's greed. Number two, the prices that they claim needed to go up if you look at their income statements and their profit and loss statements, you can see that their costs didn't go up such that they needed to increase the prices of product. So they stole from you and me. And anybody who continues to blame Biden or government, they have been smoking the weed from the corporations. They have been snowed by the corporations. The corporations have been picking your pockets as they allowed you, misinformed you, proved your gullibility to blame government, as opposed to where the blame really belonged. So, folks, let's remember that. Very important for us to get that. All right, let's see what else I got to go before I go to the party. Para ver, ML Hardy says, yes, but the alternative states are only used in the event something goes wrong. That is correct, Mary L. Hardy. You're absolutely correct. Let's see what else we got here. My mouse is misbehaving to the core. I don't understand why, but we'll see. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. All right, folks, let me tell you what I'm going to go do now. I'm going to go ahead and play for the last interview of the year, Alex Lawson, because I think this is one of the most important interviews that we did, because this doesn't cover older people. It covers everybody. It's something we have to instantiate, has to be internalized, and we have to make sure and get it right. Here we go.
Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Today we're honored once again to have Alex Lawson in the house. This is Mr. Social Security. This is Mr. Medicare for All. This is Mr. Everything having to do with healthcare and your well-being and services. How are you doing, Alex? Welcome to Politics Done Right. How are you doing today?
That's a big introduction. I appreciate it. I'll try to live up to it.
I only do what's right. Anyhow, look, you've been doing a whole lot of work with Social Security Works. You've been doing a whole lot with Medicare Advantage. Now, Medicare Advantage, I consider one of the biggest frauds in America. Before I ask you to extensively go into this issue, there was a time in this country where nobody would insure old people because it cost too much. Or if they did, it cost 3 times as much to insure them. The government did what it was supposed to do and insured people at not an affordable cost, at an 80-20, but they could actually do it. Now, the insurance companies, of course, the government, into somehow the private insurance companies coming back into the fold. Now, what I'd like you to do is run with it.
Mm-hmm. It's a great setup. So you actually have a lot more of the story than a lot of people, which doesn't surprise me. But I'm going to just sort of reiterate it.
Thank you.
Medicare was not created out of like the goodness of somebody's heart or something, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, well, we should only allow seniors to have health. It was because insurers, what they do, the only way they can make money is by taking our premiums and denying our care.
Exactly.
So actuarially, it says in their books that as soon as someone hits the age 65, they have to get rid of them, however they can. Delay their care, deny their care so they die, throw them off your books, don't put them on your books in the first place. Medicare was created because insurance cannot provide health care, private health insurance. So the only way they can make money is by denying care. So when they got back in to the Medicare population, you know how they make their money? Denying care in Medicare. So the problem is that the vast majority of Americans don't know that Medicare Advantage is not Medicare.
Right.
So when they sign up, they're thinking they're getting Medicare. You know, they get sick or they get hurt, they get the care that they need, no hassle. You know, they're happy to leave corporate insurance behind. And then they find out that Medicare Advantage is literally United Health.
Right.
They're denying care. They just come up with crazy names for it, right? Instead of saying we're going to delay your care because we want to kill you, they're going to say, oh, you need a prior authorization from your doctor on that, right? Sorry, the doctor is who sent them there in the first place, right? Why? But they're tricky and they have an enormous amount of money. So it doesn't surprise me that the American people are under this illusion that private health insurance might in some way work, right? Because they don't understand the brutal reality that the way they make money is by denying care. And what that means is we work with a bunch of people. We have all these stories. We're collecting them. If your listeners or viewers have stories, send them to us at Social Security Works, socialsecurityworks.org. My email is alawson@socialsecurityworks.org. We're going to be hitting the Hill. We're bringing personal stories to the Hill on July 25th for the anniversary of Medicare, because we want people to know that as long as the corporate insurers are allowed in the Medicare system, they will be hurting and killing people in the Medicare system. I want to just say that again. It's 100% certain that through delays and denials, they will hurt and kill people by preventing them from getting the care they need.
What I want to put out here, which is very important, is the following. At one time, we were trying to get Medicare, through Medicare, to give dental and to give other forms that Medicare Advantage uses to coerce, to coerce people into their product. And secondly, I think it's important to note that the people who administer Medicare Advantage cost more than standard Medicare, yet the government continues to do it because of
corruption is really what it is. Wait, you know how much more? So my favorite thing.
I understand that it was 20%.
Yes. See, I don't even know why I come on your show.
Let me tell you why you come on to the show, because there is a reason. It's not enough for one person to regurgitate data. It's important for there to be corroboration of everybody's data.
It's true. And I need to come on because I need truth tellers like you, and you have to be armed with the facts. 120%. That's what we overpay.
Right.
United Health.
Right.
The one that everyone hates. The largest corporate insurer in the country. They're the largest corporate insurer in Medicare Advantage.
Exactly.
We pay them $1.20 for every $1 that goes to traditional, original, or what I call actual Medicare.
Right.
And in actual Medicare, at 100%, you know how many delays and denials there are? Yeah.
And that's the reason why, is because you don't have to ask for permission to get the care that you need.
You get it the permission comes from your doctor.
And he's a licensed
doctor. And all the crazy thing is that somehow the belief that you could have the doctor, the patient, and then some corporate bureaucrat in between, and that would make things better.
It is a fallacy. And by the way, we're talking about Medicare Advantage, but this is a fallacy that goes across the entire health insurance spectrum. But we're talking about one that we had carved out for people when they got to that age that they definitely didn't get care. And now they're trying to take that away.
They are. And we know why, too. It's because they're terrified of the progress that we're making on Medicare for All.
Right.
What they want to do is try to make it so that what happens is Medicare Advantage for all, which is just corporate health insurance for all. It's no different.
Yeah.
So they're trying to cut us off at the pass. And what we have to do two things. We have to fight every day for guaranteed health care for every single person in this country. If you get sick, you get the care you need. No deductible, no premiums, right? This is a system that all of our peer nations have. Don't tell me we can't do it when all these other countries
spending
can.
So much more money on it. So whenever, I find it amusing because it was well, in Canada, you have wait. My daughter had an appointment that she made. She had to wait 2 months to get to the doctor. In Canada, wait a minute, but Canada spends half the money or quite a bit less money that we spend on healthcare, and their wait is no more than our wait.
Right.
And for emergencies, they get care. We may get care.
Maybe. Yeah.
We may get care. Now, one of the issues, again, I mentioned the dental, ears, and eyes before, and a lot of the selling points of Medicare Advantage is they'll tell folks you have no premium to pay as opposed to an 80-20 up to a certain limit, and it scares people like, oh, I can get everything covered, not realizing that not because you got everything covered for the price of Medicare that somehow you're going to get care. It really means that you won't get care. Many a times you can renegotiate your 20% off in real Medicare. And nobody talks about that.
So I'm thinking because this is a really boring answer, but it's like maybe the most important. And you opened it up exactly correctly, but there's one thing that you're missing. So with that 80-20, what a lot of people have to do is they buy a gap insurance. So they buy another private insurance product that covers that 20%. And the reason is because you could be on the hook. It's an unlimited liability, right? 20% of some $5 million care and it bankrupts them. Right. So that is one of the main selling points that Medicare Advantage uses. It's dental vision. Yes, for sure. And they don't even provide real dental or vision.
It's
fake.
Of the imagination.
But the real one that they really push. And so what we need to fix on our side,
20.
and it's an out-of-pocket cap in traditional Medicare. Right. So there's a bunch of ways we can get there, but what we need to do is equalize that. So we need to fight for Medicare Advantage, but we also need to fight. We need to fight for Medicare for all, but we need to fight a rear guard battle against Medicare Advantage, So it's at the same time. We have to be equalizing the playing field for traditional Medicare. We can't allow Medicare Advantage to continue to rip us off at 120%. And all of this work is critical for that getting to Medicare for all. We have to do them at the same time. So I want to just tell you, and you spread the word, and maybe we can come up with a better way of talking about it. You say 80-20, I like that. But it's that out-of-pocket cap.
Actually, the out-of-pocket makes a lot. Actually, it's better. 80-20 is a numerical thing. Americans understand what's my out-of-pocket. So that's a better actually thing to say.
And what we could do, obviously, is we could take some of that overpayment, the 120%. Let's bring that down to 100. Let's take that 20. Put it into traditional Medicare. Add the vision, the hearing, the dental, and the out-of-pocket cap. I mean, that's just simple.
It is not only simple, but again, you get out of. If we're paying 120% already for it, don't that tell you that we have another 20% buffer to mess with? And it's near 50% conversion already. It's crazy.
It is. And the good news is, though, I will tell you that we are making progress on the rear guard actions against Medicare Advantage. We have made more significant progress in the last year and a half. And I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been walking the halls, ringing the bell, being like, be worried.
I remember when you started because it was something that I've always been with when it comes to healthcare because of family history, etc. I always understood the concepts.
And thank you for it. And you're following it. And I love coming on your show because your audience are awesome. And they should know on July 25th, so for Medicare's birthday, we're going to be coming into DC. We've got over 50 retirees that we're busing in from New York and other places. We're going to be saturating the Hill. And we're going to be telling this story. We have people who have family members that they have lost because United Health has denied them care. We have people who've been harmed, and we're going to walk them around.
That is the message we need. I tell you what, when you're doing that, I would love for some of you to be out there doing what we need to do to actually push that all over. Because it's important for the senators and the Congress people to understand that this is not just going to be one day up the hill they have to tolerate and then it goes away. It has to be something continuous. Look, Alex, give me a closer.
Well, I want everyone involved. Your audience are the best, as you know. So they can come to socialsecurityworks.org, find out everything we're doing there. Fighting against insurance is one part of it. High drug prices is another. And we are taking it to pharma right now, but they are coming back with a vengeance. So we need everybody right now to just lean into all of our fights because the possibility of winning is real if we fight.
Alex Lawson, Director of Social Security Works. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. welcome to another.
Now, I want to remind all of you that video and all those videos from Netroots Nation, the PDR posse, those names that you see there, you all were the producers of that particular video. It is you who supported that video. Sorry to hear about that, Paul, about not being able to go back. But I tell you what, it's not all lost because you are in the movement. And what we're doing in the movement is we want to remove remove the distinction of Medicare Advantage, Medicare, and all of that, and have one system. Medicare for all, healthcare for all. We don't care what the hell it's called. We just want healthcare treated as a right. But for right now, let me tell you what we do, Paul, and I want you to listen to this very well. If at any time your Advantage program denies you coverage, slows down your coverage, denies you medicine or anything, I want you to bring it to the posse. And let me tell you why. So far, and I played a video from one of the women at our hey, Tom, thanks for your super chat, Tom. Thanks, Egberto and the PDR posse for an inspiring and insightful year of politics done right. I appreciate that, my brother. Thank you so kindly. Now, I'm speaking to Paul Fleming Sr. here, and I want you to inculcate this in you, to put this in your mind, Paul. At any time, if you are denied anything, bring it to the posse. Let me tell you what we did. There was one of our callers to KPFT whose mother was being kicked out of a nursing home. She was on Medicare Advantage. And she told her story on Politics Done Right. And we went ahead, and before we even got a chance to get involved in making calls and publicizing it, she called and she said, I just heard about this on the program. I didn't even know I was on Advantage and you guys are crooks. And they revisited her mother's condition, and her mother was able to remain in the nursing home. So, Tom, when you say, Paul, I get denied on my MS medication every year, but have to appeal through my doctor to get it approved, luckily, it's been approved every year. If that doesn't occur, you bring it to us, and we'll go directly to them and let them know what we are going to do as far as publicizing that they are nothing but a fraud. All right, Tom, he has a limerick for us. Let's get busy with the limerick. As we approach the end and start of another year, we ponder the news that's filled with hate and fear. Let's now take time to reflect on what we can expect if we look for better days ahead and plan to connect with those in pain who need our love and care, respect, resolving to hold close, hold dear all people far and near. Damn, Tom. That was a great one, Tom. I love that, Tom. Man, I tell you, our brother nails it one more time. This one with superlatives. Let's see what else that I missed from my great folks out here. Let's see. Tom was given a definition of fake electors. I don't want to bring that up because it's going to slow my laptop down a bit. Let's go ahead and continue with what our peeps are saying here. But he says each state has electors who certify the election in their state. If a Democrat wins, those electors file. However, with Rump, the Republican electors, some real, some fill-ins at the last minute, no training, etc., fill out the forms against the law. Then they sent them to Congress to certify what did not happen. Period. I mean, when Mike Cisak, brother, you've lost your credibility by finding a way to support fake electors, sir. It just shows that it's my brother. You're not even coming out as a partisan. You're coming out as someone you're willing to break the law because of partisan issues. Can't do that, Mike Cisak. Come on, let's stay into the fold. Let's do what's right. All right, let's see what else we got here. By the way, I don't have any more videos to show, so the rest of the show is on you. Anybody wants to add anything that they want me to discuss? Paul Fleming says, Mike is proof the mental illness is real. All right. Actually, I think it is a form of mental illness where you can't, where your commitment to party supersedes your commitment to logic, truth, and morality. That's a problem. I agree, Paul Fleming. That is absolutely a true statement. All right, what else have we got here? Anything else in the chat before we go? Otherwise, we'll shut down about 3 minutes early or so. All right, while I wait for people to put into the chat, let me ask you so kindly to please support the program. How do you support this program? Many different ways to support the program as I search for it. But you can support the program like Brother Tom and Peggy Lopez did earlier today, and that is by providing us with a super chat. Alternatively, you can go to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support, which I'm putting in the feed right now, politicsdoneright.com/support, and that gives you all the different forms in which you can support the program. I'd like everybody to sign up for a newsletter. It is free, but I'm asking you as well to become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. Why? Because that is how we can continue doing the job. I put the link in there, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Please support us however you can. Please subscribe to the newsletter. I know you guys would say, I'm going to buy PDR a coffee a month. I don't have a problem taking you to a coffee shop and buying you a coffee a month or something like that. Well, you can do that with the newsletter. And you know what? The newsletter actually gives you something else. All our books. You will be able to read all of our books on our Substack, which means you never have to buy our books. Just being a subscriber gives you all 5 of our books and any subsequent books that I write, it's yours on Substack. So I ask, you're getting something for becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. Right now, less than 1% of our 7,000 people that are on the newsletter subscribe. I think we are, 55 or something like that. I'd love to get to 500. If I can get to 500 subscribers, guess what I can do? I can get a part-time copywriter, and I can get a part-time the person who picks up the podcast for me, which would offload some time for me to do even more engagement. So please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, or find whatever way to subscribe to us by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. All right, we are at 58. I want to tell all of you, I want to thank all of you, first of all, for a great year. I shouldn't say for a great year. I want to thank all of you all for a great decade of your support. When my daughter got her stroke and I had to fly out this is for people who don't know. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to give a short story here. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. My daughter, while she was in med school, had 2 strokes. By the way, she did complete med school with 2 strokes. She fought half side, her left side, not functional, and she still finished school. This woman is a trooper. All right. She is a trooper. She has to change professions in the long run, but she is a trooper because she did it. While I went over to DC, had to fly there to take care of her for a year, while she was almost dead in DC, had to go out there and take care of her. I went out there, and you can take a look at the videos then. I didn't know how bad my emotions showed on those videos until she saw one of them and said, "Dad, you look like you are whatever." Anyhow. But let me tell you, we could continue this program because of you, PDR Posse. You, PDR Posse, made sure that we were able to build a portable studio in a 3x4 area in her tiny apartment. You all did that. And we were able to continue broadcasting not only our network program that we did here at 3 o'clock. You guys allowed me to change it to noon so that I could go to take care of her for the 4 hours that we got every day to go to the hospital and spend with her. You guys allowed that. You guys, PDR Posse, you made that happen. KPFT 90.1 FM owes you. Politics Done Right owes you. America, for what we bring to America, owes you. It is an experience to see what our people actually did when one of us needed it most. Both building the studio and just mental support. I can't tell you the amount of you that called me on my personal cell phone to step me up. I can't tell you how many have also, when my baby was able to actually talk, etc., actually spoke to her, encouraged her, etc. Bridge MCP, you know I'm looking at you too, girl. So I want to tell you that yes, this is a movement. We are a big part of the progressive movement, but we are part of just the human movement. And for that, I think all of you deserve a pat on the back. And I want to thank all of you for a wonderful 2023. Let's make 2024 better. Let's make sure and fight in 2024. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Happy New Year. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.